4th, we'll have a South School essay. That's a great way to start a day in elementary school. So much energy, all positive.
You know what? That's one thing that I sometimes regret. I regret a lot of things in life. I sometimes regret that I didn't go ahead and become a teacher because I really love kids. And I think I'm very good. You know, I think I was really around in all these ways and so on. And I've had a good response.
You know what? Rich comes, Rich just spends all kinds of time in South School. And he knows everybody there. They know him. He's like the grandfather of the school.
And he's still going in and doing it.
Yeah.
Well, that shows you he's doing it for the right reason.
I'd like to take this time to welcome you to City Hall. This is our meeting for April the 6th. Before we start tonight's meeting, we'll have a prayer led by Councilwoman Laura Ward, and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for gathering us here safely tonight. Please bless the work that is set here before us and give us the wisdom to make decisions that will benefit all those who live and work in and around the city of Jefferson. Help us to recognize the welfare of all people in our community and to realize our differences can make us stronger. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Guide us to see the benefit provided by our differences and be willing to ask questions to strengthen our path to progress. Remind us that we are stewards of our community and help us to strive to be leaders our community needs. On the eve of our city's election, we pray that our community will take their civic duty seriously and exercise their right to vote in strong numbers. Please guide us to use our voting privileges wisely, seeking wisdom in considering the qualifications of the candidates. Let us pray for the candidates, their families, and volunteers who have committed themselves to serve our community. Give them understanding and a sense of peace, no matter what the outcome may be. In your name we pray.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
Roll call, please.
Branch,
Here.
Costello, Graham,
Here.
Henry,
Here.
Hussey,
Here.
Medine,
Here.
Mahalovich,
Here.
Prather,
Here.
Scrivener,
Here.
Ward.
We have a quorum this evening. There is a small change to the agenda that's printed in front of you. Underneath miscellaneous agenda items, A and B will switch places. Any other changes in the agenda? At this point in time, we'll entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. If we could have Hank Voigt up, please, and everyone with the fair housing. I'm sorry, not fair housing. This is actually a proclamation dealing with. Hank's part of this too. Sorry, he's double dipping tonight, so to speak. This is a fair housing thing that we talk about, and this is a proclamation I'd like to read. Whereas this law encourages fair housing opportunities for all citizens, and whereas the City of Jefferson, as well as the Jefferson City Area Board of Realtors, are committed to highlight the Fair Housing Law, Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, and by continuing to address discrimination in our community, to support programs that will educate and our public about the right of equal opportunity rights, and to plan partnerships within our organizations to help assure that every American has the right to fair housing. Therefore, I, Eric J. Strump, Mayor of Jefferson City, do hereby resolve that April 2015 to be Fair Housing Month. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you. Again, I'm Hank Vogt, 2015 President of the Jefferson City Area Board of Realtors, and this is Kevin Schwartzer, Loan Officer at Hawthorne Bank, and he's also our 2015 Community Outreach Diversity Committee Chairperson. On behalf of the Jefferson City Area Board of Realtors, we would like to thank the Mayor and the City Council for recognizing April as Fair Housing Month. This is our 8th year of sponsoring the poster contest. The poster contest was open to all 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students within the jurisdiction of the Jefferson City Area Board of Realtors, which includes Cole, Callaway, Montauk, and Osage counties. This year's theme was Fair Housing, Different Faces, Same Dream. And the posters will be on display at the Capitol Mall during the month of April. And we'd like to thank our sponsors, which were Central Bank, Regions Bank, Community Point Bank, Midwest Title and Escrow, and the City of Jefferson. We'd also like to thank our judges, Stephanie Cohen with the Jefferson City High School. She's an art teacher. Greg Medlin, who's owner of the Hot Salon. Carrie Turgeon, owner of Carrie's Hallmark. And at this time, I'd like to have Kevin Schwartzer and Jamie Abbott, Neighborhood Services Coordinator from the City of Jefferson, and the Mayor to present this year's winners.
Grade 4, first place, Silas Garrett. Silas, I apologize. Grade 4, second place, Weston Burnett. Grade 4, third place, Riley Blankenship. Grade 5, first place, Claire Duenickle. I apologize. Dinkle. Grade 5, second place, Heidi Beaningfield. Okay, I'm told that she's not here tonight. We'll just move on. Grade 5, third place, Megan Gates. Grade 6, first place, Casey Dunavant. Grade 6, second place, McKenna Johnson. Grade 6, third place, Paige Clubb. That concludes our poster contest winners.
A round of applause again for that committee and all the students for doing that. Very worthwhile tradition here at City Hall. No public hearings tonight, no appointments by the mayor. Underneath number 7, I have Dr. Rome and Bill Lockwood for an update on the multipurpose building. Mr. Rome.
Thank you, Mayor. We've continued to have design committee meetings since the last council meeting. We are at the point in the process that the architect is comfortable in engaging the subconsultants, the structural engineers, the HVAC, mechanical engineers, and others who will go into more detailed parts of the planning process. We hope to, by the next council meeting, have a conceptual floor plan that we can present to you all to take a look at. We also got a first look at a preliminary site plan locating the building on the property. The architects have informed us that that needs quite a bit of work yet, but it's in the general area we had hoped for, but they'll begin working on building elevations and other things that we can depict and hopefully show to you very soon at an upcoming meeting.
Any questions of Bill? Mr. Henry.
Bill, do you actually have a timetable on when an official agreement will be signed between Parks and Rec and Lincoln?
No, we don't. I mean, that's a big part of our continuing work. We have a retreat scheduled for later this month where we hope to hammer through that detail with Lincoln, President Rome, and others involved from the administration over there. In the meantime, we're kind of trying to work at draft portions of that to put it together.
Any other questions for Mr. Lockwood? All right, Bill, thanks a lot. We'll look forward to seeing that next report in 2 weeks. Next, we have a special guest tonight, Missy Bono, who's in charge of economic development with the Chamber of Commerce, Area Chamber of Commerce. Missy is here to tell us more about Continental Commercial Products, or CCP.
I think I'm going to go home and make a poster tonight, though, about some fair housing before I go to bed, though. I think that was really great that all the young people are here this evening. It takes a lot of guts to get up here and shake hands with the mayor, so good job, guys. Yes, we had some very exciting news last week on April 1st with Continental Commercial Products making the announcement to locate to Jefferson City. They are on a major fast track. They will be hiring 150 people in 2015 by the end of December, and then an additional 50 people in 2016. So the jobs and the company will be locating to the former R.R. Donnelly building, so it's very exciting that we will have about 534,000 square feet of that 650,000 total square foot building occupied by a new company. They will be moving their plastic injection molding operation with the textiles division and their distribution division out of Bridgeton, Missouri. And Katy Industries, the parent company, they will also be moving their corporate headquarters at some point, but they have not determined the new location for their corporate headquarters. So my hope is that they will come to Jefferson City, locate to Jefferson City, fall in love with Jefferson City, and decide to locate their corporate headquarters here as well. So they will have jobs in operations management, support staff, production, warehouse, and textiles labor, and then specialized trades such as maintenance, tooling, and mold technicians. And the wage rate will be competitive for our area. Some key positions will be filled by employees transferring from Bridgeton, which will be good for the Jefferson City Board of Realtors and getting new people to Jefferson City and living in Jefferson City. But primarily, the majority of the individuals will be hired locally. So we'll have a lot of great employment opportunities for people in our region as well. So my primary reason why I wanted to be here this evening is to say a huge thank you to our partners, City of Jefferson, our great partner, in particular Mayor Strump was a huge champion for this project. Rick Mihalovich is on our economic development He's an economic development, one of our liaisons, Rick Prather as well, and Bob Scribner also. So thank you very much for all your support on this project. It was a very, very fast project. We started working it in February, and within an 8-week period, they had their announcement in Jefferson City. In addition to the City of Jefferson, Cole County, Jefferson City Public Schools, State Technical College, and a special thank you to Senator Mike Kehoe as well. He played a big role and in working with this company. And then, of course, the owners of the facility of 321 Wilson. We could not have done this project without the owners, and a big thank you to them. So they are moving at, like I said, a very, very fast pace. They want to be in production by the end of 2015. They have already provided a injection molding machine to State Technical College, and they will be providing that piece of equipment so the students can go ahead and start getting trained on that equipment, and with the hopes of hiring some of those students to CCP when they're up and running. We also are coordinating with company officials. We've been working with them on finding local supply chains. So anybody that can supply to the company, they want to work with our region and work with local companies. So I think we'll get a big spin-off as far as local suppliers to our community as well. So again, thank you very much to everyone here. We could not have done it without any of you and your support, and I look forward to coming back and giving more updates on CCP in the future. Any questions for me?
Missy, thank you. Any questions for Missy? Yes, sir. Mr. Carlos.
Missy, this is wonderful news. I know you had said earlier about the wage rate comparison. What is the average salary for these jobs? Do you know?
They plan on, like I said, being very competitive with our market. Okay. But right now, the average starting wage that they're looking at is $33,000 per year, which comes out to be just a little bit less than $16 an hour. Okay. And again, that's average starting. As they get in and get ramped up, those will increase as well. Okay.
Great news.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Missy? Mr. Mihalovich.
Well, we can't just let this go without acknowledgement of the Chamber's role in securing the future for the young people that are in this room to have employment and the economic benefits that this brings. So I just want to give a big applause to the Chamber and all the partners who you had mentioned earlier. So well done, and I am so excited to see the train track full of plastic pellets and workers from State Tech and the hiring being started. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I haven't quit smiling since April 1, so it's been really, really exciting, and I think we just have more great things to come.
Missy, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate you being here, man. Next, I have Miss Vicki Shellmeyer is here to talk to us about a Jeff Tran Ride the Bus Day coming up. Vicki, welcome.
Thank you. And the first thing I wanted to do was introduce you to Ashley Varner.
It's wonderful to see all of you. It's so exciting just to be here. I just want to wish, before I even get started this evening, a very good luck to those of you running for office. I know tomorrow's a very big day, so very good luck to you. First of all, as always, thank you, Mayor Strumpf, council members. I'm really excited to share an opportunity this evening. We want to invite you and our community, entire community, to another Ride the Bus event this year in Jefferson City. It will be on Thursday, April 30th, so get out your calendars, permanent marker, okay? This year we're calling the event Ride the Bus, Connect with Jeff Tran, so we're building on that event this year. Building on the success and interest of last year's event at Lincoln University, we're hosting an open house, a community conversation about public transit across from the Jeff Tran transfer station. It's at the Fire Department Museum and East Miller Park from 11:30 to 1 p.m. on Thursday, April 30th. Thursday, April 30th. Okay, just want to make sure everybody got the date. Okay. As Jefferson City's elected leaders, it's a great opportunity to hear from both regular and new riders, business owners and managers, and residents from throughout the city. It's an educational event, but we're also reaching out to businesses, churches, and community-minded groups to provide a Jefferson City-type open house with hospitality and introductions of council members, our new mayor, whomever that may be, and our newly appointed Public Transit Advisory Committee. Yay! That's a big deal for me. It's a great chance to listen, learn through one-to-one conversations of ideas and challenges for transit improvements. I believe Vicki's going to hand out some information to you as I continue. This is how it's going to work, okay? On the 30th, Thursday, April 30th, at 11:30 to 1, Get 3 or more of your friends, relatives, your coworkers, go to the Jeff Tran bus stop on the bus nearest to your home, your workplace, your office, or wherever you are. Pay $1 fare, then sit down, enjoy the view while you visit with your friends until the bus stops at the transfer station. Get off at the transfer station and walk across the street to the Fire Department Museum. There, you will be able to watch a short video about Jeff Tran's service, enjoy some refreshments, meet and talk with elected city officials, leaders, Jeff Tran personnel, city staff, and other residents. Meet members of the Public Transit Advisory Committee. Anyone who hasn't already can take the online transit survey. Get back on the bus, return to your starting point or somewhere else in Jefferson City, because that's what Jeff Tran does. It connects us to where we want or need to go in the community. We'll see you on April 30th.
At 11:30, right?
Yes, thank you. Since early in 2013 and even before then, many of us in Jefferson City have been paying attention to the public transit system. As all of you, Ashley, and others from CMCA, Lincoln University students, business owners and managers, Jeff Tran personnel, Faith Voices for Jefferson City, city staff, Citizens for Jeff Tran, school board leaders, realtors, Transit Focus Group, and the newly appointed Public Transit Advisory Committee, transit riders, medical providers, library directors, and people throughout the community, both long-time and new community members. We've heard a lot about transit, and all of us probably have a lot still to figure out about transit improvements. Many people have contributed to this discussion, but a couple comments have guided our process and are important signposts for future conversations and accomplishments. Councilman Larry Henry's statement to me over a year ago, when he was speaking of public transit improvement, said, "This is really about getting creative." The new committee, speaking of the Public Transit Advisory Committee, which the council and Mayor Strump have appointed, this new committee has a big task. They need public input, and that's what the event on the 30th is about. And the second was the willingness to take time and talk without gotchas or scoring political points during a brainstorming session the end of January, where Public Works Committee Chairperson, Councilman Scrivener, and the newly appointed Transit Director, Mr. Maymert, met with 4 or 5 of us for almost 2 hours, and we brainstormed about transit. We had some reasonable ideas and possibilities. No one waved a magic wand that day, but we had the opportunity to work together. Some of those ideas won't pan out, but we were talking and looking for better answers together. And that kind of cooperation has made huge potential and even real progress now in Jefferson City, so that we can be a community where many people can flourish, not just those of high income levels. So join us, please, for Ride the Bus, Connect with Jeff Tran on April 30th. Thank you for all your attention and for your service to the community.
Vicki and Ashley, thank you very much.
Did you have any questions?
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for giving us so much of your time.
We'll see you on April 30th at 11:30.
Yes.
All right. Okay, next we have spring cleanup dates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Actually, Janice, hold on just a second. Students, if you would like to leave and maybe catch the NCAA championship tonight on TV, we totally understand. Thank you for being here. Give us just a few minutes while the gallery is cleared, so to speak. All right, Ms. Janice McMillan, we have spring cleanup coming up here
In just 2 short weeks,
Wow.
spring
I know what
cleanup
that feels
will
like.
begin on the west side on April 20th. And then the following week on April 27th, the spring cleanup will begin on the east side of town. And our boundary line is Jefferson Street. So west of Jefferson begins Monday, April 20th.
I have a question for Janice, but I think I normally ask this to Drew just to clarify something. If a certain councilman's wife was to put, or a mayor's wife, was to put someone's golf clubs at the street for spring cleanup, especially if they lived on El Marine, when would those become property, quote unquote, of the public, where the public could get them? Hopefully it's future, not current. Guys bought clubs last year. Not that I've had time to use them.
That's my answer.
Well, I wouldn't recommend leaving anything unattended in your front yard during this time of year.
All righty. I think that says it all. All right, and Janice, for the people that don't know, this is part of our contract under our current
Yes,
solid
this is
waste.
part of our contract with Republic Waste Services. Residents in single-family, duplex, townhomes, and triplexes are eligible to receive this service as part of their the city's contract with Republic Services.
All right. Any questions, Janice? Janice, thank you very much for getting that together. No one signed up underneath number 9 this evening. The consent agenda at this point in time will entertain a motion to approve. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That passes. It'll be unanimous. Bills introduced. We'll have first reading of Bill 2014-130.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri designating 230 West Duckland Street as an historic landmark.
Janice.
Ms. Jamie Abbott is going to present this.
Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you. Maybe I can get some names right this time. Okay. Each year, the Historic Preservation Commission takes applications for the landmark designation or landmark awards, and this evening I'm going to be presenting one designee that the Historic Preservation Commission had nominated. As mentioned earlier, the nomination is for the Broadway School at 230 West Dunkland Street. I just want to point out this is a picture that I actually obtained from the Cole County Historical Society's website, which you'll see the present day pictures here in a moment, which you'll see that it is virtually has unchanged. I'm going to go ahead and read some information that Dr. Schroeder had presented as part of the application about the history of the Broadway School. Because of severe overcrowding of the public school, Jefferson City voters were asked in 1903 to build 3 new neighborhood schools. The bond measure passed with an astonishing 94% of the votes. Included in the plan was to construct new schools was the building of a new Broadway school. It would replace an original 2-room Broadway school built earlier in 1891 on the Deeg lot of the northeast corner of Broadway and Dunkland. This new Broadway school facing south opened for classes in the fall of 1904. The new Broadway school cost $13,229 and was designed by the prominent Jefferson City architects Charles Opel and Frank Miller. It was a very similar design but not identical to the West End or Fairview schools of 1903. The plans for the 2 floors and basement of Broadway School were published in the 54th annual report of the State Superintendent of Schools, evidently as an example of recommended construction for public schools in Missouri. The school provided 6 rooms for 6 grades, but continued overcrowding forced a 2-story addition to be attached to the north side or the back side of the school in 1920. This addition was done so seamlessly that it was virtually impossible to recognize it as an addition. It added 2 more classrooms and an auditorium with stage and a lunchroom and a kitchen and basement at a cost of $7,282. An estimated 1,200 pupils passed through the Broadway School during its 51 years as a school. Oral histories of Southside residents invariably comment on the school and as a central role it played in both in education and as a playground and neighborhood center. After World War II ended, Jefferson City again confronted the problem of overcrowding schools. Broadway School had a class size of 32 pupils. The Broadway School in particular faced the issues of playground safety at the busy corner of Dunklin and Broadway. The school vote passed in 1953 again with an astonishing 93% of the votes. South School, 4 blocks south, was built to replace the Broadway School. When the Broadway School was finally closed in February 1955, the vacant building was sold to the Carpenters Union in August 1955 for $32,000, and since then has remained under ownership of the Union, or formerly the Carpenters District Council of Greater St. Louis and vicinity. The Union has well maintained the building. Except for the glass doors, the exterior of the building is totally unchanged from its 1904 construction and 1920 addition. Absence of the change testifies not only the excellent skills of master stone and brick masons and master carpenters, but also having been built in an enduring classical architectural design that fits in its well today with its neighborhood as it did 100 years ago. I also want to point out this building, the Broadway School, was designated as a contributing property in the Broadway Dunklin Historic District in November of 2002. And then here is a current picture of the property, which, as I mentioned just a moment ago, has basically remained unchanged. So the Historic Preservation Commission reviewed all the criteria for the landmark designation, which criteria A is the potential landmark as an identifiable neighborhood or distinct geographical area with a historic or cultural importance to the city. Potential landmark is associated with a particular prominent person, a significant event or historical period. C, the potential landmark exhibits a particular architectural style or school or associated with particular architect, engineer, builder, designer, or craftsman. Or D, the potential landmark contains historic, prehistoric, archaeological features, evidence, and/or artifacts that have potential to contribute to the understanding of historic and prehistoric cultures. Is there any questions from anyone on this one nomination? Okay.
Go ahead. Thank you. Next, first reading of Bill 131.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, changing, amending, and modifying the zoning map of the zoning code of the City of Jefferson by rezoning .18 acres from C2 General Commercial and .55 acres from RS4 Single Family Residential to PUD Planned Unit Development for land addressed as 1501 and 1503 East High Street, described as part of Outlot 72 in Jefferson City, Cole County, Missouri.
Janice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This slide shows the location of these two properties in the vicinity of Warwick Village, or now known as the Village Square. The same owners that own Warwick Village, Village Square, own these properties and have requested the rezoning and the PUD plan. So the purpose of this request is to seek flexibility in the terms of the future use of these two residential properties at 1501 and 1503 East High. So their proposal to rezone to PUD, Planned Unit Development, and approval of the PUD plan will allow for an overflow parking lot to be located behind the houses, which are proposed for potential mixed use. And included in the PUD plan would be single-family residential, office, retail, personal services, or in-home businesses. So those of you who have been to events at the Village Square are familiar with the parking situation. So when they have events there, it's very difficult to locate a place to park. So the plan is that the employees and people involved in the event would park in the rear portion of these properties, and thereby leaving more room on the street and in the parking lot at the Village Square for patrons to use. No signage is proposed. It just frees up the land on these properties to be used for occasional parking, overflow parking, and then also allow the houses that are on the properties to be used for something other than single-family residential use that would support the use of what's going on in the village square. There will be a privacy fence installed along the western property line. And then on the overflow parking, there will be a driveway constructed and paved. But other than that, the overflow parking will remain grass or gravel. So the Planning and Zoning Commission approved this plan and recommended it to the council. The public hearing is scheduled for the next council meeting on April 20th. Be happy to answer any questions.
Councilman Scribner.
Are those residential properties or are rental properties on both sides? Or are they single family or residential?
On the east side is a commercial property. It's an office use. On the other side, it is a residential property.
The C1 is
yes,
office
a
use?
C1. Yes, that's a commercial. It's an office.
And where will the access to the overflow parking? Will it go like down between the two houses?
Between the houses.
Okay, and this rezoning doesn't change the platting of the lots. They're still
No.
two individual lots.
They
there.
are.
Okay.
Any other questions on 131? Seeing none, we'll have. Do you have anything else, Jan?
No, thank you.
We'll have first reading 132.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri approving a preliminary PUD plan for property located at 1501 and 1503 East High Street, described as part of Outlot 72, Jefferson City, Cole County, Missouri.
Janet.
This is the PUD plan for the prior bill. The first bill would rezone the property. The second bill approves the PUD plan that I previously described.
Any questions of staff on 132? Any questions of staff on 132 for the record? Okay, thank you. We'll have first reading of 133, please.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri providing for the voluntary annexation of real property contiguous to the present city limits into the City of Jefferson, Missouri, addressed as 2111 Bald Hill Road, described as part of Outlot 112 and part of the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 20, Township 44 North, Range 11 West, in the County of Cole, State of Missouri, and amending Section 1-17 of the Code of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, defining the existing city boundary by adding one new subsection pertaining to the same subject.
Janice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This property is located on Bald Hill Road, immediately south of Eastland Drive, and contains about 3/4 of an acre. It's in the vicinity of a residential development. The residential uses surround this property. So the proposed zoning of this property would be RS3, single-family residential, which matches the zoning of the adjacent property that's inside the city limits. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended the RS3 single-family residential zoning at their meeting in March 12th, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on 133? Staff, Bob?
Is there any cost to the city? First, I would think it'd be very minimal. Was it some recording fees or something like that? Maybe?
Yes, it's a recording fee, basically.
Okay.
And then development of the property, of course, would conform with the city's regulations and access to sanitary sewer, if they develop the property.
But there's no need to extend sewer, and I mean all the utilities and everything are out there currently.
They're in the vicinity, and that's the owner's responsibility to extend those utilities to serve the lot.
Any other questions on 133? All right, moving on. We'll have first reading of 134, please.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with Sam Gaines Construction Incorporated in the amount of $53,772.66 for the Stadium, Monroe, and Christie Improvements Project.
Matt, it says here that suspension of the rules is requested. Could you let us know why?
Yes, the project, basically, it's got a very tight time frame. We're trying to dodge school schedules, things of that nature, and also fulfill our commitment to Capital Region, so we'd request a suspension of the rules to get the project moving.
Okay, Councilman Scrivener.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we suspend the rules on 2014-134.
Are there two or more members of the council that would not like for the rules to be suspended? Seeing none, the rules will be officially suspended. We'll have third reading, please.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with Sam Gaines Construction, Incorporated, in the amount of $2,053,772.66 for the Stadium, Monroe, and Christie Improvements Project.
Pat.
Thank you. As clerk indicated, this is a construction contract for Stadium Monroe Christie. We'll be adding a new signal at Monroe Street on Stadium. We'll also be widening Monroe Street back to Woodlawn and making it two-way, which will fulfill our commitment to Capital Region for their redevelopment access. The project will be split with the county 50-50. Of that $2 million amount the clerk just read, about $106,290 will be sanitary sewer improvements, so that will be paid by the wastewater fund. Then the remainder will be split between the city and county. I was at the county this morning, got their concurrence on the bid, and once this project is approved tonight, we'll be asking our contractor to start to mobilize and get the project moving. As you've been out there, we've already have some houses being removed, utilities being relocated, so we're on pace to fulfill our commitment to Cap Region. Happy to answer any questions. I also point out, I did lay on your desk tonight in the other room just a kind of an update on where the city and county stand on their capital improvements projects. I have a copy for the screen if anybody wants to. Bill, could throw it up there. But basically just shows you where we're at on the projects. Everything highlighted in green's either under contract or getting ready to be under contract with this tonight, and kind of shows you where we'll end up. We do have some contingency on that sheet down at the bottom, so just kind of gives everybody a new comfort level as we approve these projects that we have the money to do them. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Matt on 134? Bob?
Pat, this does include making that short portion of Monroe two-way?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Matt, I know this isn't part of this, but looking into the future, how hard would it be to make Monroe two-way even farther?
Obviously, it could be done. We'll probably, go ahead and kind of scope that and have it as a menu item for future sales tax.
Okay, so it's something that's at least in your radar.
Yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
Thank you. Any other questions on 134 of staff? Seeing none, any council debate? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Branch.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Medine.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we'll have first reading of 135, please.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, amending Section 19401, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule J, Parking Prohibited, Subparagraph A, and amending Schedule D, One-Way Roadways, Subparagraph B of the Code of the City of Jefferson, pertaining to portions of Stadium Boulevard and Monroe Street.
Matt.
Thank you. And this bill is basically in support of the previous contract we just talked about, but basically truing up the parking regulations for the project. A lot of times we do this during the project at the end or whatever, but want to go ahead and get them on the books. As you might know, there's various codes related to parking restrictions, one-way streets, four-way stops, things of that nature, and so we want to go ahead and true those up. Basically, it'll remove parking on Monroe and Stadium within the limits of the project. Discusses removing the one-way restriction from Stadium up to Woodlawn, and then also the multi-way stop at Woodlawn and Monroe.
Any questions of Matt on 135? All right, we'll have first reading 136, please.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with Bartlett and West Incorporated in the amount of $60,945.03 for the design of the City of Jefferson wayfinding signage plan.
Matt.
Thank you. As clerk indicated, another engineering contract with Bartlett and West, a local consultant here. They're going to help us implement the wayfinding grant that the city received through MoDOT. Much discussed. Campo kind of got it started with developing an overall wayfinding project for the metropolitan area. The city received a grant, I believe it was last fall, to go ahead and implement that within the city. We have several entities donating money towards the matching funds, the 20% matching funds. Of this contract, 20% would be the city's responsibility to be paid out of those different matching funds. I don't have the whole list in front of me. Janice might remember if anybody wants to know. But basically, the contract will place the signs around downtown area, I'll say, call it that way, implementing the wayfinding plan.
Any questions of Matt on 136? All right, we have first reading 137, please.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, authorizing a supplemental appropriation to the Jefferson City Police Department, amending the 2014-2015 annual budget and authorizing the expenditure of such funds.
Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This bill authorizes the expenditure of federally forfeited funds to purchase 27 in-car cameras. The police departments recognize the need to replace those cameras for several years. The reason for the timing is at this point in time, we have the funds available to us. We had other priorities, the first part of sales tax F in that term. What we're asking is the authority to expend $85,000 in federally forfeited money to purchase those 27 in-car cameras. The additional, and I have an exact figure, $90,757.92 would be funded through sales tax F. The $85,000 was secured through the federal forfeiture program, and those are proceeds of illicit drug activity. When a law enforcement agency reasonably believes that that money, equipment, property are the proceeds of or facilitated illegal drug activity, then the law enforcement agency or agencies can seize those that money, property, or equipment, and after the designated federal process, the federal courts may award the money, equipment, and or property to the initiating law enforcement agency. So we have those funds available to us through previous drug enforcement activities, and we're seeking approval from the council to expend those monies. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief. Any questions on 137?
Chief, how many cameras are we looking to buy? Do you know?
27.
27 total?
Yes,
okay.
They would go in all our the patrol cars that patrol the various zones of the city, plus our traffic unit.
So, like our command staff and some of the unmarked cars and so forth will not have cameras, just
no,
patrol
sir.
cameras?
Those will not.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Chief? Yes, sir, Mr. Carlos Grant.
Chief, I think I was reading that part of the problem was based on, I guess, not only just the wear and tear, but like the hitting of potholes and things like that. So is there something that's going to be in place that's going to help protect these cameras as it relates to from the sun or whatever it may be that was causing the issue for them to go out?
Well, the answers to the questions by the media was not intended to indicate there was abuse or this was a unique problem.
Right.
It is a situation that all law enforcement agencies that have in-car cameras experience, and that's just you have electronic equipment in a patrol car. subject to all the elements and the driving conditions that a patrol car is subject to, so it's not unusual at all, and they manufacture what they call ruggedized units or semi-ruggedized units. Those are what we purchased initially. But we began purchasing these 10 years ago, and as you know, electronic equipment doesn't last 10 years, and so it was just time. Their lifespan had run, and we need new equipment.
So these here have, I guess, a better extended warranty on them, or
well, I couldn't recite the warranty, but what we are purchasing is recognized in the market as reliable, top-of-the-line equipment for a reasonable price, because it was subject to state contract, by the way.
Right. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions on 137, Bob?
Just want to make a comment. Councilman Mahalovic and I have been attending Citizens Police Academy, and I'd recommend it for any citizen of Jefferson City. But one of the things they told us the other night, which if I remembered it correctly, and I think I did, just to prove I was listening, these new cameras should be removing the mechanical drive that was in the old, and the vibration and everything like that was harder on those old cameras, whereas the electronic circuit, a lot of the memory will be electronic now as opposed to mechanical, and so that should make them more reliable.
All right. Any other questions on 137? Rick?
Chief, do you have any desire to suspend on this and move this forward, or are you in a time frame where you're comfortable?
No, we're comfortable. We have been working closely with the vendor, the provider, and they are comfortable as long as we can conclude this by the 20th of April. So that was considered, but we know there's a reluctance to do that, and we don't want to do that unless we have to, and we just didn't think it was necessary.
All right. Any other questions on 137? Okay, moving on. I think, Mr. Gentry, do we have a scout here in the audience?
We do, Mayor.
If you could come forward, please. For the records, please state your name, not that we don't know who you are. But, and hey, there you go. Introduce your young scout there. You may have to lower that mic.
I'm Alex Gentry.
And what troop are you with?
Troop 4.
Troop 4. And what badge are you working on tonight?
Assistant or communications.
Communications. Is there like an attorney badge? I know you might be able to get one.
Not from anybody.
Where is Troop 4?
St. Peter.
St. Peter's, great. Okay. You go to school with Drew. Drew Dira?
Yep.
Yeah. It's my nephew. Matter of fact, his birthday was yesterday. He's 13.
Yep.
Come on up, and I'll give you a coin here. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you being involved in sports, and thank you very much for what you do in Scouts. I hope to see you back here soon. Yep, thank you. Next, we'll move on to bills pending. We'll have third reading of 2014-128.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, amending and adopting the firefighters' pension plan benefit document.
Mr. Hilpert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do still have some firefighters on the old firefighter pension plan. All the current firefighters moved in February 11. However, we still operate this for the firefighters still on it. It's called riding out the tail. The firefighter pension board has made some recommendations that you all have to approve. They're updating the current plan, which governs how the pension is operated. There's basically 4 changes. One is just to modify the plan to show that all the active firefighters moved in February 11th, 2011. And then we liked some language change for the death duty benefits to make sure it's clear that it's $5 a year, not $5 a month. I'm sorry, 5% a year increase and not 5% a month. And then we wanted to modify it to allow widowed spouses to continue to collect their pension even if they remarry. And then we wanted to modify the process for the death of a retiree that it gets paid out when there's a guardian or conservator appointed for them. So those are kind of generic or summaries of the changes. Happy to answer more specifics if you like or need to.
Any questions, Drew, on 128? Mr. Henry.
Drew, and this may be for Chief as well. I just had I was just curious as to how many retired firefighters do we still have in that particular plan?
On the plan, well, I should know that, but I know Kevin Bagby, he's the president, would know.
58. Okay.
58 for the people at home.
Okay.
Any other questions to Drew? Council debate? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Medine.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward. Branch.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we'll have third reading of Bill 2014-129.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a supplemental agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for transportation alternative program funds.
Mr. Branch.
Thank you. This is a supplemental agreement which basically gives us the wayfinding money. And when we originally did that agreement only, I think, a month ago, MoDOT did not include some of the required federal aid provisions in that, and so this will get those into that agreement.
Any questions on 129? Council debate? Roll call, please.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Medine.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward. Branch.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Motion passes. Nothing on the informal calendar tonight. At this point in time, we'll have a summary of Resolution 2014-39.
A resolution authorizing the City of Jefferson to apply for the FEMA Fire Prevention Grant.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Chief, could you tell us more, please? Chief Matt Schofield, welcome.
This resolution will allow us to apply for the FEMA AFG grant, specifically to request a replacement fire safety trailer. Prevention activities included in the trailer, very broad to pretty much every kindergarten, first, and second grade student in the community. Around 5,000 kids per year we reach through the school systems. We also take it to other special events, and we teach fire safety and prevention activities. So this would allow us to replace that trailer, which is 25 years old. We've rebuilt it a couple times. But for the most part, we think it's a great program to continue, and we'd like to do it with new equipment to be partially grant funded.
Any questions of the chief on number 39? I'm sorry. Mr. Grant.
Chief, how much is the city required to match for this grant?
It would be a 5% match, so 95% provided by the feds, and then 5% required to match. So that equals out to about $5,000. The trailer came in slightly under $100,000 as an estimate, but we're writing the grant for up to $100,000.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on 39? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Hussey.
Aye.
Medine.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward. Branch.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we'll move into 15, presentations from the gallery on other topics. We have one individual sign up tonight, Mr. Steinman.
Leonard Steinman, 110 North Lincoln. Tomorrow's election day. I'm not qualifying myself for the election. There's 11 good candidates running for school board and for mayor, and they have given 100%, and they have been very nice with each other. There's been no bickering at all. The whole state of Missouri is watching this election for mayor because it's the first of its kind in the state of Missouri. No party, no primary. I've been asked many, many times by many, many people out there, what's the story? I said, we're going to get rid of the primary because it's nothing but a farce. The other thing is tomorrow night, one of our city councilmen, it will be laid out at Freeman Mortuary. He was one good councilman when he was here. He gave everything he had. I've seen him work hours after hours after hours, just like everybody else that's in the city council. So if you don't mind, please go visit him. The last 3 years was really rough on him. I appreciate it. A lot of people have died for your vote, no matter if it's local, state, county, or federal. We don't want ISIS here. Let's vote, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonard. See number 16. Anything from the council or staff? All right. Any new business to bring before us this evening? Any unfinished business? I do have one thing to add from what Leonard said. Tomorrow is election day. Make sure your vote is heard by taking the time to vote. As Leonard said, too many have made the ultimate sacrifice allowing us to vote here in Jefferson City. Any other unfinished business? Mr. Scrivener.
I'm sorry, but I haven't heard what councilman passed away.
Mr. Hiesberger, I think, is that the one you were talking about? Tony, I think he actually passed away, if I remember right, in February or earlier this year. They're just not having the visitation or a memorial service for him here because I think he was in Florida, right, Leonard? Okay. Yeah, good man. Thank you, Leonard, for bringing that up.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, at this point in time, pursuant to the revised statutes of Missouri, Section 610.021, we'll entertain a motion to go into closed section under subsection 12, contract negotiations. Is there a motion, please? It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Branch. Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Medine.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Medine. We are adjourned until after our meeting, after our closed session meeting coming up, and so we actually stay in session, and we have a slight recess while our chambers are cleared. We'll be right back. In 2 weeks.